Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Reckless Paradise podcast. I am your host, Dystro, and happy 2026, everyone. Uh, Today is a new beginning. It's a new, fresh start for a lot of people. So let's just make the most of it, and hopefully, we take 2026 to new heights this year. Um, as you can kind of tell, that I'm kind of like not in the dumps a little bit, but it's just kind of very monotone a little bit. It's just because I worked on New Year's Eve day, or New Year's Day, I should say, and kind of I getting the brunt of it. Trying to get my thoughts and my wits about me. But we have a good episode for you guys tonight. This is another career dive or deep dive with me, yours truly. Um, and we always talk about, a wrestler from different time periods and all this stuff. But this one is going to be very, very interesting, to say the least. The person that we are talking about today is Brock Lesnar. Yes, the Beast incarnate himself, Brock Lesnar. Um, I mean, what's to say about this man that hasn't been really said? He is a professional wrestler. He's a former mixed martial artist, amateur wrestler, and American football player, um, respectively. Here, he has he was signed to WWE, and he's had two tenures, from 2000 to 2004, and then 2012 to 2020, um, which is a pretty good, lengthy career within the world of professional wrestling. Um, he also is like regarded as like the most prolific, combat sport athletes in the world. Lesnar is the only person to have won the primary heavyweight championships in WWE, UFC, New Japan Pro Wrestling, the IGF, which is the Inoki Genome Federation, and then the NCAA, which is football. Um, He in college wrestling in the University of Minnesota, winning the NCAA Division One National Championship in 2000. Then he was soon signed to WWF, renamed WWE in 2002, and then goes a huge tear through everybody in '02. Labeled as the next big thing. Um, he is married to Sable since 2006, which good for him. Have four children, including Maya Lesnar, who is a college athlete, which that's pretty cool. Kind of following her dad's footsteps. Um, he's he was in football for 1 year. He was goes into MMA in 2007 to 2011, and has some really crazy good fights on the MMA card. And then a brief stint into it in 2016. Um, and then he's won like I've said, like multiple loads of championships all throughout his tenure here. He was the youngest to win it. The youngest to win the WWE Championship at the age of 25, which would be later broken by 2004 by Randy Orton, who was, I think, 22, 23 at the time. And then at that point in 2004, he departed WWE to join the Minnesota Vikings for the NFL, but then was cut from the team during preseason. Um, and then he would return to wrestling in 2005 to sign with New Japan Pro Wrestling, which that's a huge get for New Japan Pro Wrestling at that time. Because he was a free agent. He was he's had like a lot of cred, being a former WWE guy, going into the Japanese wrestling landscape, and plus with Japanese wrestlers, they have like a saying where it's like, don't hold back against your opponent, because if you do, they're gonna hit you way harder and hit you back harder. And it's kind of like that sort of mentality with what we know today as strong style wrestling or Perozu. Um, he would later part New Japan Pro Wrestling and continued to be promoted as the IWGP Heavyweight Champion in the IGF before taking a hiatus from wrestling and pursue a career in mixed martial arts. Years later, in 2012, he re-signed with WWE. His 504-day first reign with the Universal Championship is the seventh longest World Championship reign in the promotion's history and holds the record for most reigns as Universal Champion with three. He's also won the Royal Rumble twice, the Money in the Bank ladder match, which, lol, it's like that he didn't really need to win that, but okay. King of the Ring and several pay-per-view headliners, including its flagship event, WrestleMania 9, or no, 5 times. I'm sorry, 5 times and 9 SummerSlams. And also, he did defeat The Undertaker at WrestleMania 30, which we still talk about to this day. He is a wow, this is crazy. So in his martial arts career, he is 6'3", which is crazy. 265 pounds, 81-inch reach, which that's freaking crazy. Um, he was trained by Marty Morgan, MMA. So he was classified in MMA, boxing, and jiu-jitsu. He's ranked blue belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And then wrestling was a NCAA Division One wrestling record. Um, his total MMA record is five wins, which three of them were by knockout, one by submission, one by decision, and then three losses, two by knockout, and then one by submission, and then one no contest. Which that's a pretty good record. Um, to be honest with you, that's kind of crazy. Um, and then he would go into MMA in '07, signed in UFC in 2008, quickly won the World Heavyweight Championship, but was sidelined with diverticulitis in 2009. And then he would return in 2010, defeats the interim UFC heavyweight champion Sean Kerwin to unify the World Heavyweight Championships and become the undisputed UFC heavyweight champion. After a couple of losses and further struggles with diverticulitis, he would retire from MMA in 2011. But then he would return in 2016 at UFC 200 to defeat Mike Hunt, but it was overturned because he was tested positive for a banned substance. Oh boy. And then he would retire from MMA for a second time. So, like I've said, like he comes from humble beginnings and all that stuff too. Um, he was amateur wrestler, like I've said, but he was part of the OVW class in 2002, which has Lesnar, Shelton Benjamin, John Cena, Randy Orton, Batista, Danny and Doug Basham, Nova, Nick Dinsmore, which is Eugene. They have like a really, really good class that for that year. Um, but he would, team up with Shelton Benjamin in OVW as the Minnesota Stretching Crew, and they won the OVW Southern Tag Team Championship 3 times, which is pretty cool. And then like we all know, like his path of destruction in 2002 to 2004, like feeding Spike Dudley, I mean, basically killing the man. The feud with the Rock, the first feud with like the Hardys was okay, but it was like he was still trying to get his feet wet and all that stuff. And then you're kind of going into the Rock stuff, the stuff with Hogan, the stuff with Angle, which is I think, the best feud for him at that time. Um, and then like the match that he had with Eddie at No Way Out in 2004, which like it was a good match for him too, because it was like big man versus small man, and plus it's like Eddie's trying to like be quick and all stuff, but Lesnar's like shutting him down and all that stuff. It's like some good stuff. Um, and then he faced Goldberg at WrestleMania 20, which was really really sucky, because both men were leaving the company around this time, and they didn't really give a fuck. And I mean, the match that they had at WrestleMania 33 a few years later was way better because it was like they played to Goldberg's strengths, and kind of like quick boom 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 boom, and it was just very very quick and just kind of just been like like that's what we wanted at WrestleMania 20, but they kind of were just like, okay, well, let's just see how it works out because Brock Lesnar's kind of not, he's kind of a spring chicken still, and kind of like let's just see if he can get a good match out of Goldberg. Well, nope, he could not. um then he goes to New Japan, and then the IGF, like I've said, faced Shinsuke Nakamura at the Tokyo Dome, Akibona in March, and Giant Bernard, aka Albert, in May. And then in June of '07, Lesnar would lose the IWGP title to TNA World Heavyweight Champion Kurt Angle, which is pretty cool. It kind of comes full circle for them too, and that was his last match until his return in 2012. Um, but then, we don't see Brock Lesnar for a while, like he's, back in Minnesota, top and just doing whatever he wants to, and he comes back the night after WrestleMania 28, and confronts John Cena, and then we go into Extreme Rules, which he loses. Boo! Like, if you wanted to, you bring in Brock Lesnar and you go have him go up against the main event guy. You have him go up against like the main guy on your product. It's like, why have Brock Lesnar lose to John Cena of all people? Because John Cena, less I heard, he lost to The Rock at WrestleMania, and truth be told, you could have kept that story going for a little bit. Have him go into the downward spiral. Just saying. Um, and then he has the feud with Triple H at SummerSlam in 2012. Um, then he has a steel cage match with Triple H at Extreme Rules. And then I think the best match of Brock's career in 2013, or the best, I guess, feud, I guess, should say, was the feud with CM Punk at that year's SummerSlam in 2013. Um, it was like no DQ, no holds barred or something, which is like plays into both men's wheelhouse because they can just do no wrong. They can just do whatever they fucking want to do. Um, And then, like, he beats Punk, which, I mean, like, truthfully so. Um, and then goes into 2014, has the match with Undertaker. And a lot of people, probably including myself, but I was thinking, like, Brock Lesnar's probably going to win because Undertaker, I mean, he's no spring chicken anymore. He's getting up there in age. And plus, I think like 3 or 4 F5s to put Taker down, and then like he beats the streak, and it's a huge shocking moment for the fans because a lot of people think like, oh well, he's gonna defeat Brock and all stuff and gonna send his ass packing. Oh no, he did not. Um, I mean, it was a hell of a match too. It was like a really good match. Um, and then still going into 2014, we have that year's SummerSlam, which he defeats Brock, or which Brock defeats Cena in dominant fashion. Which I'm reading from the notes here. It says delivering 16 suplexes and 2 F5s with little offense from Cena. Which, truth be told, not gonna lie, it's like it had to be done at this point. Um, then it goes into 2015, having the that championship match at that year's Royal Rumble with Lesnar, Cena, and Rollins. That was actually a really good match on a Royal Rumble pay per view because a lot of people really wanted Daniel Bryan to win, but they didn't get it. And then, you have the Roman Reigns syndrome, which he wins the Royal Rumble, goes into WrestleMania 31, which he kind of turns into a triple threat with Rollins cashing in, and kind of just, went off on people, the next night. And then, like, he kind of like hosts for a while, just like appears in like random places and all that stuff. That 2015 SummerSlam match between Brock and Taker was okay. It was like, it was not both, it was neither man's best work. But then their Hell in a Cell match later on, it was voted match of the year during the 2015 Slammy Awards. It's like, okay, well, there's a lot of matches of the year that was in 2015, but okay, whatever. And then he comes back in 2016, kind of just, like I said, coasting a little bit. And it's like he's there just to be a main attraction, not doing anything they used to do back in the day, in 2002, 2012, 2013, whatever. It's like, he's just there to be an attraction. He's picked up wins against like Dean Ambrose. He's picked up Randy Orton win and all stuff. But then, like, he kind of just, like I said, coast a little bit. And then we have the match against Goldberg at Survivor Series in 2016, which the men's Survivor Series match, still the best Survivor Series match. Do not at me. And it goes a minute and 26 seconds, which should have been the match that we had at WrestleMania 20. Just saying. And then 2017 rolls around, and then we have the year-long championship reign for Brock Lesnar. Because keep in mind, like I said, Lesnar and Goldberg, they faced again at that year's WrestleMania in 2017 because Goldberg beats Kevin Owens at Fastlane that year, which, truth be told, should not have happened. It's just because they just want to have the Brock Lesnar and Goldberg match. You still could have had that, but just no fucking title. Because what we really wanted was Jericho and KO for the Universal Championship. Just saying, that could have been way better. And then, we have the year-long title reign with Brock Lesnar going into, excuse me, going into Great Balls of Fire, which is the first and inaugural only show of that name, defeating Samoa Joe on that show, which was actually, at the time, a pretty big match at that point. I mean, the wrestling was okay, but on paper, when you see it, like when you see Lesnar and Joe, like both men are good at what they do. Like Joe's a good talker, but then you have Paul Heyman, who's like, the best talker in the game, going against Samoa Joe. Like, that smells money right there. Um, I know at that show too. They had uh, Roman versus Braun in the ambulance match, which is actually a pretty good match too. Um, and then they go into SummerSlam that year, which was Lesnar, Joe, Roman, and Braun. Interlaced both storylines here. And then goes into No Mercy, defeats Braun, and then goes into Survivor Series, which he defeats AJ Styles. Champion versus champion, non title. And plus, I think before they switched it to AJ, it was going to be Lesnar versus Jinder, but then they were like, we don't really want to do that. So let's just put AJ versus Lesnar. And it was actually way better than we would have gotten. Just saying. Um, and then, like I said, he goes into 2018, defeats Braun and Kane, and then goes into the Roman Reigns thing, and then he pins Roman again, and then goes into the Greatest Royal Rumble, beats Roman anyway, and then because it was like Greatest Royal Rumble was like the steel cage with Reigns and Lesnar, where Reigns spears Lesnar through the wall, but Lesnar didn't hit the ground because Roman did. And I was like, okay, well, like Roman is the winner because he hit the floor first. Because with how it worked was like Brock Lesnar had his back on the steel cage part, but his back didn't hit the ground. And it was just like it was such a fuck finish. It was like so fucking stupid. Um, because then after that, Lesnar was absent from television for nearly 3 months. But then it says at Extreme Rules, Raw General Manager Kurt Angle threatened to strip Lesnar of the championship if he did not show up to Raw the following night. And then he shows up, that he would defend it at SummerSlam. Um, and then let's see. Then oh yeah, that's right, because I think he, I think he goes into he goes into SummerSlam and he almost beats Reigns, but then Strowman was about to cash in. Roman capitalized on it and just hit the spear on Lesnar and won the Universal Championship. I don't know. It's just like at that time though, it's like 2016, 2017 Raw and SmackDown, it was like really good. But then when you go into 2018, 2019, 2020 and all that stuff, it's like it starts to just go bleh. Just be very bland. Um but yeah, it's just like after that he was just kind of like he wins the title back again at Crown Jewel in 2018. Shocker. Um, and face AJ Styles again, which is actually, or well, it was supposed to be AJ, but then he loses it to Bryan on SmackDown. So then it was Bryan versus Lesnar, which that was actually a pretty good match too. Um, and then he still gets the title reigns and all that stuff. And then he goes away for a while. Like he leaves in 2021, or no, wait, I'm sorry. He leaves in 2020 as his first retirement, and then he comes back in 2021 to feud with Reigns again. Um, which I mean, like, it's like, dude, it's like, is this ever gonna end with him? I mean, the match that he had with Lashley was actually pretty good. I mean, for what it was. Um, and then he regains the championship at Chamber that year. Then goes against Reigns again, in the worst winner takes all match of their saga, whatever you want to fucking call it. Um, and then kind of like goes into the the reigns the rivalry with Cody Rhodes, which actually was not bad either. It's like he's got some good feuds within him, but then there's just some feuds just like, did you really need to take that? And then we don't really hear from him again because he's in the scandal with the Vince McMahon thing for a year. Um, and then he makes his return at the second night of SummerSlam. Um, then he defeats John Cena at WrestlePalooza, was in War Games at Survivor Series. Um, and yeah. He's had a very weird or very odd, I should say, track record with WWE stuff. Um, so I think it was just actually interesting that with his track record of being in WWE like the first time, and then his second time, and then third time, and kind of fourth time. Um, he was in like the different periods of the eras. Like when he first came in, he was in Ruthless Aggression era. And then when he came back the second time, he was in like the PG era, but kind of like trying to get out of that. And then the third time he comes back, and it was during like Paul Levesque Triple H era. And then the fourth time he comes back is still kind of within Paul Levesque era, but still kind of like feels like that like Vince is kind of running the show a little bit. Um, but yeah, it's very weird, very odd. Um, but let's just go over the wrestling. Well, the titles that he's won over the years here. So NCAA. He was a NCAA Division One All American in '99 and 2000. The NCAA Division One Heavyweight National Runner Up in '99. NCAA Division One Heavyweight Champion in 2000. The Big Ten Conference Champion in '99 and 2000. The NJCAA All American in '97 and '98. The NJCAA Heavyweight Champion in '98, and then the North Dakota State University Bison Tournament Champion from '97 to '99. Jesus Christ, that's crazy. And then the Bismarck Athletics Hall of Fame in 2005. Um, in mixed martial arts, he's a one-time UFC heavyweight champion. Submission of the night versus Shane Kerwin. Um, Newcomer of the Year, ranked number 7, Fighter of the Year, and ranked number 8, Upset of the Year versus Randy Couture, which those are good fights too. Um, Ranked number 4, Fight of the Year versus Shane Kerwin in 2010, I should say. um, Biggest Draw in 2008, Rookie of the Year in 2008. Sports Illustrated Top Newcomer of the Year in 2008. Wrestling Observer Newsletter Best Box Office Draw from 2008 to 2010, which is pretty high praise. Um, Now in professional wrestling, the Guinness World Record, youngest person to win the WWE Championship, age 25 years, 44 days, which that record is actually broken by Randy Orton at that point, in '04. The IWGP Heavyweight Champion one time, for both the IGF and the New Japan Pro Wrestling. Um, Best OMG moment in 2022, which was the Brock Lesnar arriving on a tractor and lifting the ring at SummerSlam that year. OVW Southern Tag Team Champion 3 times with Shelton Benjamin, which is pretty crazy. Excuse me. Um, Pro Wrestling Illustrated Feud of the Year in 2003 with Kurt Angle, which that makes sense. Feud of the Year in 2015 with Undertaker. Match of the Year in 2003, the Iron Man match on SmackDown with Kurt Angle. Most Hated Wrestler of the Year in 2018, Most Improved Wrestler of the Year in 2002, Wrestler of the Year in 2002 and 2014, and then ranked number one of the top 500 singles wrestler in the PWI 500 in 2003. Rolling Stone gave him the most unavoidable face turn in 2015, which that's crazy. Wrestling Observer, Best Brawler in 2003, Best Wrestling Maneuver in 2002 with the F5, Feud of the Year in 2003 with Kurt Angle, Most Improved Wrestler of the Year 2002 and 2003, Best Box Office Draw of the Decade in 2010s, which that's true. And then the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Hall of Fame class of 2015. Excuse me. And now we go into WWE/WWF. He's a 7-time WWE champion, a 3-time Universal champion, King of the Ring winner, Money in the Bank winner, 2-time Royal Rumble winner, and 5-time Slammy Award winner. With hashtag of the year in 2015 was hashtag Suplex City. Match of the year in 2015 with The Undertaker at Hell in a Cell. Rivalry of the year in 2015 with The Undertaker. The Tell Me You Did Not Just Say That moment of the year in 2015, coining Suplex City at WrestleMania 31. And then the OMG shocking moment of the year in 2014, ending The Undertaker's WrestleMania streak at WrestleMania 30. And then the WWE Year-End Award for Hottest Rivalry in 2018 with Roman Reigns. So, like I said, what is there not to say about this man that has not been said? Um, I mean, he's had a lengthy career in both, well, in all of like what he's done, in WWE, WWF, MMA, martial arts, you freaking name it. Like he's done it all and been done it all, in this business, and he's one of those polarizing figures that, back then he was like a hot commodity. Like when you think of Brock Lesnar, like, when you think of Brock Lesnar, the person, you think of like, Viking, Viking Brock Lesnar. But then you also think about him as like the person that defeated the streak of Undertaker. You think of the year-long title reign that he's had with the Universal Championship. You think of the, the Taz coins like, here come the pain. You think about all of that. But then, when you think about it deep down, like he was a kid from humble beginnings, kind of like having obstacles in his way that like we do not know. But then, like he overcomes all of those obstacles that were in his way. Um, and just kind of just like, took it at face value. Um, which is like pretty freaking cool, it's so cool that he overcomes, or he overcame the adversity and the difficulty of like learning and trying to think things through and all stuff. um and he's had like a lot of good people behind him along the way in everything that he did. I mean, including, when we talk about WWE, you think about Paul Heyman, you think about the people that he's been in the ring with, like with Roman Reigns, like Daniel Bryan, like AJ Styles, like Undertaker, like the people that have been there the longest and can still kind of like help him, like, okay, like, look, we want to do this spot, this spot, this spot, but then kind of like bounce it off of him and be like, okay, well, what you want to do? And then like he'll, go back and forth with you. It's actually pretty cool how he's taken WWE or taken wrestling under his belt and kind of just took it and just ran the ball with it because he's had a pretty good lengthy career within WWE. During the first, second, third, maybe almost fourth, height stints in the WWE, I should say. Um, and it's actually kind of cool that Sable is his wife, and it's like, and they're still going strong. Cool. 20 years later, that's actually kind of freaking amazing. Um, power to them, power to all of them. But that is it for our episode. This is actually a pretty cool career dive to go into. This makes me kind of feel somewhat not biased anymore about Brock Lesnar. Because like Brock Lesnar, he when you think about Brock Lesnar, like I said, a few minutes ago, when you think about Brock Lesnar, it's like, okay, well, he's gonna win, blah 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 blah. But it's like people don't think that there's two sides to a coin. And if he's on the receiving end of a beatdown, it's like he's gonna be selling his freaking ass off because like he's gotta make the other guy look good, in the long run. Um, but yeah, it's like I've got to go back to watch that Kurt Angle Brock Lesnar Iron Man match on that SmackDown. But if you have made it to the very end of this video, please make sure to follow us on all social media links in the description below, which will take you to our link tree, which will take you to our Instagram pages, Twitter pages, the podcast Reddit pages on there, my gaming YouTube channels on there. At the time of this recording, I think I'm about to be at 1630, I think. But we're almost at 1650, and it's not even, we're still in January. And it's like the first day of January, so that's actually kind of cool. That I got there last month. I still keep wanting to call it like this year, but it's like okay, it's 2026 now. It's not 2025 anymore. Um, but I do have a song request from my podcast co-host at the time, Marissa. We're still cool. She's doing behind the scenes stuff. Love you. She requested for me to do The Offspring, which is the song "Kids Aren't Alright" by The Offspring. It is a really good song. Early 2000s stuff. Love it. I know there is a music video for it. If you have not seen the music video, it's actually pretty interesting. It's actually pretty cool. Um, but yeah, that is it. And I will see you guys next Thursday. Peace.